Hello and welcome to another episode of Almost in Agreement. Sam and I are in the room. I think AC might have died. He might have got the COVID and died. We'll have to check with friends and family on that one because apparently we're not either of those lists. We're Almost in Agreement at gmail.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Go to our website, almostagreement.com. Election Guide 22 is in there. I've got all the interviews I've done with all the people that are running for office right now, as well as links to KGIS, Knox County Election Commission. Go to our Facebook page. I stole something from Gloria Johnson and put it on there. That's a key little helper to help you figure out voting stuffs. So anyway, go there and do that. Check that out. It's been a crazy week, I suppose. Lots going on nationally. I've got a few things going on locally. We'll figure it out. So almostagreement at gmail.com. Check it out. Fucking hot.
A little bit.
Oh my god, it's fucking hot. Damn it, I fucked up again.
Talk about a heat wave.
We were talking last week. I was like, I need to be more mentally conscious about cussing in the first couple minutes because that messes with the YouTube algorithm.
Yep.
First sentence, fuck.
I thought they pretty much just demonetize it.
Oh, well, we're not to that
stage. Heard that in like some of the channels I watch where they're like, oh, I think it's like the first 10 minutes or something.
Not getting paid on this one. Yeah, like heat index like 105, 106 today, something like that. 105 yesterday. Going to do it again tomorrow.
Yep.
The AC in the truck is out.
Oh.
It's been my... I'm cutting weight for the fight coming up, I guess. It's just sweating. And it's like I'm in the truck and I'm sweating. And then I get out of the truck, it's hot as fuck outside. I sweat. And as soon as I get into where I'm going that's got AC, I'm in the cooler section of the grocery store. But I can't stop sweating because that's when I'm actually moving around working.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, now on to the next one. So there's no chance to stop sweating. Don't get me wrong. I don't work hard. People don't think I actually do real work or anything remotely sort of efforted.
At least it's cooler inside.
It's a joke job, but hey, they pay some of my gas. That's a concern. And I'm like, okay, so here's a little fun starting point with the craziness that the world is. I put, filled up the truck. It's a 20-gallon tank. It's a little that's for those listeners. It's a 90 or an 08 Frontier 4-banger. It's a compact car with a truck body on it. It's really what it is. Manual transmission. Just under a 20-gallon tank, or right at a 20-gallon tank. I filled it up the other day. $85 to fill up the tank. And with that job, if I can force myself to stay in it all week, even though it's hot, I'll burn through that tank by the beginning of next week. So I go through about a tank a week. And so the job being cool, I guess, knowing that I'm driving and beating the shit out of my car and stuff. I've had a gas allowance from day one. Like I think it's $75 a week in gas allowance, which for the almost entirety of the job, I've been there almost 6 years, has been in excess of the amount of gas I actually spent. Now, some of the other guys I work with argue, it's like, well, yeah, but that little bit of excess you set aside for tires because you got to get tires all the time, or oil changes, or all the other stuff you have to do our car. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's a gas allowance. That's what it says it is, and it's supposed to pay for gas. So they've overpaid that for years. So I brought it up to my boss. I'm like, hey, man, it's getting past that point. He's like, what do you mean? I was like, it's getting to the point where I'm paying more for gas than the allowance. And it's not like I'm driving like an F-150 or something like that. I have I get about 20 miles a gallon in that thing, which is fairly fuel efficient for the market that lives today. And so he's like, yeah, apparently upper management's already had the conversation, and they're like, you guys got overpaid for years, so suck it. It's like, oh, okay, cool. See how that does long term, because if gas continues and stays this way or gets any worse, it's going to start causing employment issues. I guarantee it.
I mean, you could have had a more gas-efficient car.
I
don't know what you could get a scooter. Get like 120 miles to the gallon.
Right, that'll really help with the heat right now. I've thought about it.
You always got the breeze until you're stopped.
I've actually thought about it a couple of years ago, just getting a little like mini bike or something small. Problem is, I got to go. Like most days, I don't have to be on the interstate, but I need to be on the interstate. Every day I have a section where I got to get on roads that I wouldn't be comfortable with on a scooter. Don't get me wrong, I'm kind of a wuss as far as bikes go. I have no desire. Like, I'm scared of motorcycles. I'm not going to lie. I don't want to get hit.
Right.
You know, and I know how I drive, and I haven't hit a motorcyclist yet, so I guess should reassure me, but I don't know. I don't want a motorcycle. I don't want to, that seems obnoxiously dangerous to me. Not obnoxiously dangerous, but that seems like there's a level of personal injury danger that could go with that I don't feel the need to, I don't have a want to cross.
You do have to be a little bit more aware. I mean, even in a car, I still have people like kind of come into my lane.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, did you not see me here?
Yeah. I had one yesterday. Guy was over on, what's the one that West High School's on?
Middlebrook.
Sutherland,
yeah.
So like down there in Sutherland where they get like where the wall climbing places and stuff like that. It's that old commercial, like that's like half the driveways aren't really clear where the driveway is and where the entrance and whatever to the parking lots are, kind of thing. And this service truck, I want to say it was like an electrician's truck or something like that, was facing towards me and was trying to get like through the next lot, and he couldn't make it, and he came out in the lane, and it's like, there's nobody behind me, dude. You could have waited till I passed before you made this move. But he kind of jumped out into the lane towards me and then jumped back, or didn't jump back in time, and I had to go into the oncoming traffic lane to get around him. It's like, that wasn't very cool, bro.
No.
I should have hit him. Be working with comp and all the goodies.
Some rich woman tried to come into my lane. It was right there at you're going on the interstate where basically the lane she was in was you forced to merge. I guess she just like assumed that I was going to let her in. And I said, no, you can get behind me. You just passed all the other traffic knowing that your lane was getting ready to end.
Right.
I'm like, fuck that. You're not getting in front of me.
Hey, the zipper method has got a reason. It's there for a reason.
Right. She made no attempt to zipper.
She just kept going.
She just wanted to button the fly and go straight to the top.
All right.
I was like, no.
All right. So, I don't know. What's new? What's exciting? What's happening?
Anything new, per se? Definitely nothing exciting.
Nothing exciting? Gen 6 hearings? I mean, I don't really want to go down the rabbit hole on it. I think it speaks to the ridiculousness of the partisanship that is our media with the way the hearings have been televised and covered. Like, it speaks to the ridiculousness of Fox News that they won't even talk about it. Apparently, during the 2 hours
they didn't take a commercial
break. They
break.
didn't take a commercial break so that people watching wouldn't change channels and accidentally end up on one of the other news sources that is showing Jan 6 shit.
Poor Tucker and Hannity had,
and they weren't
had
even
not take a piss break.
Right, and they weren't even talking about it. As far as I know, they didn't. They were avoiding the topic on those 2 hour blocks.
That's what they want to do. I mean, that's.
I mean, I guess more power to you. You're a free enterprise. Do what you want, but
at least the courts came down and said Tucker's not actually news.
Well, neither is what's her face. None of them are technically. They're all going to play that card if they need to.
Yeah.
What's the Rachel Maddow?
Like a political analyst or something? No,
I don't know. But Rachel Maddow did the same thing. She got a defamation suit, and then their argument was, "Well, this isn't news. This is entertainment."
I didn't hear about that one.
Yeah, I think it was Rachel Maddow. I'm not 100%, but it was MSNBC. One of the MSNBC, CNN top anchors, same kind of shit went down. And so, like, I just think that's the sad part of it. I again, how do I word this correctly? I do think it's a big deal what happened. I do think that people who went in there with intent there's clear evidence that they went in there with intent to try to actually obstruct a constitutional process should be charged, should be put in jail. I think people that went in there with intent to harm others or harm property should be charged and put in jail. But going back to our previous segment on gas prices, on the grand scheme of shit that's going on right now, it's not that important to me. These January 6 hearings aren't. I just don't think, like, yes, it's a big deal. Yes, it was a problem. Yes, I agree with all that. But against the entirety of the backdrop of the country that we're in and everything going on, I don't really feel like that's a big deal. I get that because to me, the real premise and the whole point of it is to figure out a way to disqualify Trump from running again, because we know we can't beat him the concern is that they won't be able to beat him in an election. And it's like, well, if it's a threat to democracy, then why are you trying to stop democracy from happening? But whatever, that's an aside.
Okay.
I mean, I'm just saying, like what's the point? Like, what are we doing here? Like, what is the point of these hearings being a primetime NBC coverage?
What's the point of airing them?
Right, in primetime, scheduling them to be primetime coverage.
Give it the most viewership.
Right. So, but to what end? Like, what's the point of that?
To inform the general populace as to what they found in this past year of investigation.
When's the last time they did like a primetime DC hearing on anything?
Primetime. I don't think any of the. I don't think either one of the impeachment hearings were primetime. I think they're all afternoon. So I think some went into the evening, but
so like when when Congress voted to invade Iraq and Afghanistan, were those primetime coverages?
No.
Did they actually vote and do those things? Anyway,
what's your point?
Was there primetime coverage on the hearings to send $40 billion to Ukraine for this proxy war that's going on?
What point are you trying to make?
Do
you want more congressional hearings to be on primetime TV?
It smacks of the priorities that news coverage has. So at least according to the news, it is more important to figure out this January 6th thing than it is to any of the gun control coverage going on right now, any of the Ukraine coverage going on right now. It's more important to have that. Make sure the American people know what's going on with this one particular item than these other ones. Is that is that a priority to you? Like, is that a priority? Is January 6th hearings a priority to you above what's going on in Ukraine and what we are as a nation are doing in relationship with Ukraine and Russia and all the different interactions and going on in there? Is that a bigger priority to you?
I think at this point, it is necessary for the general populace to see, mainly just going into the whole big lie, which is still being perpetuated to this day. That people are still just convinced that...
I hear what you're saying on that. I do. I follow you. So,
and this is mainly what the insurrection was culminated by. It was all lead up to that. It was just, this is going to be a rigged election. This is going to be a rigged election. This was a rigged election.
But so...
And just months and months and months of... And now we're seeing interviews of Trump's inner circle, even those people telling him, it's bullshit, stop, this is not... I wouldn't keep saying these things. We have no proof of this whatsoever.
Right, Bill Barr and then Ivanka. I heard those two at least. I haven't heard anybody else. As far as the top inner circle people.
Right.
But again, my point being the priority of the issue is the January 6th hearings,
right,
and getting a clear understanding of what Trump did and didn't know and who was responsible for X, Y, or Z in this one stupid ass event of January 6th. Is that a higher priority to you as a U.S. citizen than any of the other issues we have going on right now?
Yes.
Okay. So, okay. All right. And then I guess my assumption is incorrect, at least for you.
Okay.
My assumption was at least personally, I don't.
What's more important to you right now?
I mean, I think the economy in general, we have officially entered a bear market as of today.
Okay. So, do you want Congress to start doing primetime hearings to discuss inflation?
I don't want
and the economy.
If that's what's important to the American people.
I don't know why you want to compare it just to this one thing.
What do you mean, just this one thing?
To this one primetime hearing, or to the primetime hearing?
Because
there's going to be more.
Because, like I said, it reeks of what the priority of the news media is, and I don't think this is the priority of the nation. I think that what I want my government to be doing right now.
Have they stopped talking about all these other issues, or you're just upset because they've put it on at 8:00 at night?
Right. Because they want, you said it already, because they want everybody to understand this one issue. It's not important that we understand the oil or gas issue.
That was my opinion.
Okay.
I can't speak for networks.
Okay.
They do what they please.
You're correct. I mean, I think it's a bigger partisan issue than that. Personally, if I'm going to do my opinion on it, I think it's a partisan hit job. It's the left trying to save any grace for these midterms coming up.
Whatever.
This is a giant tool for the midterms.
Anybody other than Fox, that's just left. That's just the left.
I mean, I'm sorry. This is
Fox was the only news organization that didn't do it.
I don't know. Maybe you got it from your Reuters and AP sources, or whatever. But have you listened or talked to, or not talked to, but read any on any of the national midterm races?
Yes.
And what a lot of the predictions from the pros that do this all the time are predicting. Are the Democrats going to hold the House?
They're saying the odds are not in their favor.
Okay. Are they going to keep the 50-50 split in the Senate?
I haven't heard as many Senate races.
Okay. I mean, I agree. That's what I'm hearing as well from the experts that I listen to on national politics, on this 16, 18 months of all Dems in both houses in the White House, that the lack of tangible, real-world evidence of any of the goals and things that people wanted out of them happening, that it's most likely that this midterm election is going to shift hard. The Republicans are going to take back the Senate. They're going to take control of the House. And then we're going to go from the gridlock mess that we're in to the gridlock mess for the next couple of years. It's not going to change. It's just going to change with more Republicans in. That has been the prediction for most parts. And if you're the Democratic establishment and you're trying to figure out anything you can do to try to keep some of these seats in key districts that are in the swing area, what better way to do it than to have a huge primetime event where the head of the Republican Party looks like a dickbag?
So who should have the rights to air the hearing? If it wasn't on prime time,
who scheduled it? Who scheduled it for 8:00? Who sets the schedule on when they're going to do the hearing?
Assuming the committee.
So the committee, the House Scheduling Hearing Committee. Who's on the committee? I'm going to go ahead and guess that the committee is majority Democrats.
Yeah, 2 Republicans.
Okay. So a Democratic majority committee got to set this event and when and where it took place.
No, sorry. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. It's all just politics.
It's hard to say it's not. At least
you're right.
At least some percentage of it is.
Okay. No, you're right.
I mean, we could. Okay. Anyway, next topic. What do you guys? What else you got? Like I said, I didn't mean to go down the rabbit hole. I apologize. Some old conspiracies and shit.
It's the invisible hand. That's all it is.
I mean, a little bit, but saw a funny, not a really funny one, but a kind of funny one. The Uvalde Police Department is refusing to release their body cam footage.
I saw a couple. I haven't heard anything about body cam footage, but I saw a couple of articles. I didn't read them. It was basically saying, I guess, some kind of loophole in like Texas law would allow them to not be forced to turn over, I guess, records. Because I think the state can do an investigation on it. But apparently the whoever was, get the guy's name, that was the site commander at that time, he finally came out and actually did some kind of interview, and apparently he wasn't sure that he was, at the time, he wasn't certain that he was the commander in charge on the scene. He thought maybe somebody else was or something, and he did leave his walkie-talkies. That was another strike against him. They were like, oh, he didn't have his walkie-talkie with him. As far as, I guess, keeping up with communications, even with other law enforcement agencies or whoever.
Right.
Like the main thing, I guess, was he wasn't getting notification of the other 911 calls that were coming into dispatch.
Gotcha.
And he was like, oh, I didn't have my radio with me.
That's fucked too. That goes into the pile of... Yeah, from Vice, it was a Vice article. Texas police say body cam footage from Uvalde could be used to find weaknesses by a future school shooter. It's the headline. I thought that was pretty crazy. You had was it Utah or Idaho Pride Parade get interrupted? Well, not interrupted, failed to be interrupted by a bunch of, what was it? Where'd they go?
Northern Idaho.
Patriot Front. They're gonna riot a Pride festival.
Yeah,
a bunch of them got arrested. Dumbasses. In the back of a U-Haul. How uncomfortable would that? That has to be very uncomfortable. I mean, might not be too hot there right now, but
were they all in there?
Apparently, there's like 6 or 8 dudes in the back of a U-Haul.
There's like 24 total that got arrested.
Yeah, but that's pretty crazy.
Just a little bit.
What else you got? So right before the show started, I got in, didn't get into it. I don't know how do I word these things. I'm not picking fights. I'm just I'm demanding honesty from elected or campaigning officials or campaigning candidates. maybe not honesty, because honesty is not the right word. It's more likely than not that she didn't know the facts on it. But anyway, Debbie Helsley is running for Knox County Mayor. She had posted on her Debbie Helsley for Knox County Mayor Facebook page, hot take: the Knox County Mayor makes too much damn money. First day in office, I'll slash my own pay by $50K. And so in the dorkitude of what this show has become for me, when I was trying to make those, my little voter guide job descriptions thing, I learned that the state of Tennessee obligates, and they have this whole nice little graph, that depending on the population of your county, your mayor has a minimum salary, and this is from the 21-22 fiscal year. So it's coming to an end. It might adjust here in the next couple of weeks. In July 1, it might adjust, but I don't know what it's adjusting to. But $400,000 to $499,999 population county, the mayor's required minimum is $154,656. According to Knox News, Mary Jacobs made $180 something in the last fiscal year, so it was the 2021 fiscal year. So unless he jacked it up another $20,000 a year, there's no room for that $50,000 pay cut that she's saying she will give. She has since responded to me with correction that she will write a $50,000 check to Knox County Schools.
Oh, what did I say right after you said? I was like, well,
okay, but
that's donate it.
That's fine. She can donate it, but she can't cut the salary. She can't slash her own pay. She doesn't have the authority to do that. That's my point. That was my point in interacting with this thing, is that is a false statement, and it is I think it's a problem that as a voter, you're going to see that. As a voter, somebody's going to see that and go,
we argue
that's cool.
on vagaries, and what she says, vagarities, vagueness?
Vagalidity?
Yeah. It was a made-up word last week. I'll see if I can't come up with a new word.
What was it? The logistication?
Logistical? I can't remember.
Yeah, anyway.
But, I mean, yes, if you read it literally, you could assume that means her salary, but I'll slash my own pay. That could also entail her just giving back.
You are so generous. You have such generous takes.
No, I'm just reading it.
I don't know. I would think that if I were going to write that in a way that's saying I'm going to donate a portion of my salary back to the county or to a specific subset of the county or to a charity, I would word it that way. I think the mayor makes too much money. I'm going to donate a portion of my salary back to the county.
That would sound better.
And I think it sounds better. That's what I'm saying. So to me, it is clear that she doesn't know this fact, and I just introduced her to this fact. I did it backdoor, too, because I told Matt Shears about it before I called her out on Facebook. And so I'm guessing that Matt Shears told her to do that $50K donation. But I get it. I get it. It's my little pet peeve. It's my little super, super pet peeve about things, is that it is the average voter in Knox County doesn't know any better. I mean, there are already people commenting on here. On it says, you've got my vote. You'd be worthy to make more than that amount or whatever. There's already people clapping and applauding and whatever her decision to take a pay cut. And it's like it's not true. She can't do that.
There's also probably already people that follow her that are already her supporters.
Okay, but there's the whole point of the Facebook thing and the commenting and stuff like that is that other people will see it. There are people that are not following hers that will see it. That's the point. So if that's the point, then there are people that this is, for lack of a better word, and to get all ridiculous about it, this is misinformation. This is misinformation on Facebook. Should have a guideline on the bottom that this is partially true statement. But there's no Knox County specific fact checkers on Facebook. Well, I guess that's me. That's why I commented. But I'm just saying, I think that's a problem. But again, to forget about the specifics of her and whatever, but the idea that somebody would see something like this and say that's a respectable position for somebody to do for running for mayor. I think the mayor's salary, which is really not that much, $180K is not a huge salary. It's not nothing. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's 3 times the county average, but it's not a huge. It's not a huge salary.
What's the county average?
56. I think it's 54 and 56. 54 for individual, 56 for families. But I guess that divides by kids too.
That's weird.
Yeah,
that's really close together.
But it's also right. But it's also the city of Knoxville is in like the 40s, but the county average is like 70. The actual city of Knoxville, because Farragut doesn't count in either one of the conversations.
Right.
At least the incorporated portions carry, but not unincorporated Knox County is in the 70s. The city of Knoxville is in the low 40s, high 30s. And so the actual city residents bring the county-wide average down when you combine them.
Again, I don't think this is really a big issue to even have to point out.
Okay.
This isn't really an abuse of powers type thing.
Just because it sounds good, but it's a lie. I mean, it's a lie. Well, it's like, I mean, what's the difference in saying I'm going to give you, I don't know, I'll repay by 40 if you vote for me for mayor. Everybody's complains about, I don't know, that's not a good one because they've recently did that. I'm trying to think of a specific. Like, I will widen Kingston Pike by a lane from X to Z to help alleviate that traffic as mayor of Knox County. It's a state road. I don't have a choice on that. But it sounds cool to you, the voter, and you, the voter that might want that thing, might vote for me thinking that I can give you that thing. I might vote for Debbie because she's going to take a pay cut. She's going to put some of that money back into the county because we need it other places. That $50K she's going to give back could hire another teacher for Knox County schools. That's awesome. And she can do that in a donation process, but she can't do that by cutting her pay. And that's not it's an inaccurate statement, and I don't know, it's almost a bribe to me. Almost. I said almost.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know what's another
that screams bribe to you.
I didn't say screams. I said almost. I put it
right,
soft.
but it at least went to your head.
So when Kaz or Biggs as trustee come in here and tell me that they're going to help build a new school for Knox County schools, it's not inside the wheelhouse of the trustee. But for people that don't know any better, we're like, yeah, we need new schools. Some of these schools are falling apart. Because I know better, that's somewhere. That's a start. But for the average citizen who doesn't know better, hey, this thing that you want, county residents, I'm running for this county position. You want this thing, county residents, I'll get it for you. Has nothing to do with the job. I have no ability to do that, actually, when I take the job. But vote for me so I can do it.
All right.
I mean, am I crazy? This is a soft example, I guess. I think it's a perfect example. Like Mayor Jacobs saying, or either mayor saying that they're going to build new schools. That's not really their position. The county does pitch in, and they do part of it and budgeting and all that kind of stuff. But a mayor can't just say, we're going to build a new school right there. Doesn't have the authority to do that. But people may make a decision based on a statement like that in public, and I think that's inappropriate.
I mean, I agree. They definitely do take care to the wording that they use. There's a much easier way to be really vague about it. I will do everything in my power, because it wouldn't be lying for them to say, I would do everything in my power to have a school built.
Right. Or I will do everything in my
power. What
power.
They're not saying is, I don't have the power, so they are literally doing everything in their power, which is nothing.
Right. And the other thing about the face value of the Debbie's Facebook statement is that another state little subset of the law is the county mayor has to make 5% more than the next highest elected county official gets paid, which in Knox County is the sheriff, which would mean if she's going to take a $50K pay cut, then Sheriff Spangler has to.
But she's not taking a pay cut.
Right.
They will still give her pay.
Right. But she's going to donate a portion.
As we've said, she can't change her pay.
But again,
up or down.
Again, I think we agree on it. If she would have worded it correctly in the first place, it sounds better than what she's saying here.
Right.
And it's accurate.
Would it have semi-sounded like a bribe, though, still?
I mean,
even if she was honest about what she was going to do with the money, that she was going to donate it.
Not even specific. A little bit, maybe. I don't know. Not as much, though. At least it's something. At least it's not as. Yeah, not as much, but I still think it's still kind of there. I mean, the idea that I can that elect me and I'll give you something, that's a bribe on face value, but it's not giving you directly. I mean, I don't know. It kind of is. You're giving me as a member of the county
So I mean, when
$50,000,
politicians are like, "I'm going to give you a brighter future," is that them trying to bribe us?
a little bit.
Okay, so it's any campaign promise is just,
just
a bribe.
You're the vagary of it. I mean, yeah, sure. I mean, when you get down to this, like,
All right.
literally, yes.
All right, please. Okay, if you're going to do this, just do it across the board.
I try to.
Fine.
I try to do it as much as I can.
All right.
That's why I keep calling out Kaz too,
Keep on keeping on. All right.
because he keeps talking about random national issues as his trustee Facebook page, and it's like, do it on your personal page, buddy. I won't say a word, but if you're going to do it on your campaign page, you're trying to use your platform as a trustee candidate to influence matters that have nothing to do with the office you're seeking, and I think that's inappropriate.
We just keeps forgetting to like click through is a different thing.
Maybe. I mean, he's like 90, so
I think Facebook reminds you, it's like you are operating as Kaz for trustee, or you are operating as Kaz for blah blah blah.
right. Or you're just operating as Kaz
Right.
yourself. Like, it does say, like, when I go into our pages to do work or whatever, it says you are now.
Right.
And then when I go somewhere else, right, it's like you are now as you. But, I mean, she even kind of, she's kind of bites about it. Look, the quote from Debbie in her response, almost an agreement, then I'll write a check directly to Knox County Schools if I have to. Seems that's, ooh.
Well, you didn't exactly come across as.
Ooh. I hate to be the fact police here. I tried to. I wasn't like.
Yeah, that softens the blow.
I mean, it wasn't like, you dumb hooker. You can't do that. That would be a dick way to say it. At least I follow it with some, like, you know, I'm not to be the bad guy here, but you can't do that. I mean, what's a nicer way to say it? Help me be better at being more approachable. How would you have said it? You wouldn't have, because you don't think it's that big a deal. But if you just had an itch and you wanted to scratch it,
All right. It's just been like straightforward. Like I find a link to at least that UT thing that you found. Like, according to state law, the mayor does not have the authority to change their pay one way or another.
oh, okay. So I have to. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fair. I forget that I have to annotate my work all the time.
No, I'm saying that's one thing that helps. People don't think you're just talking out of your ass. They're like, from what I think, blah blah blah. You can actually send them to the TN.gov bylaws or whatever.
I don't know. I mean,
that's definitely not a necessity, but I mean, there are
I know, all right, and I agree.
nicer
And
words to use if you're just trying to correct someone.
And on the
like
big,
you said, she probably just didn't know.
Which
So one so just being like,
I don't.
she should know. Yes, all right. She should know.
I don't know. I'm thinking
she should
about
know
that.
all the city and state bylaws.
I mean,
When you run for an office, you should know everything.
for mayor, yeah, maybe a little bit more. Maybe this one's not on that list. I'll agree that this one may not be on the level of things that you should know to run for mayor.
I mean, I probably would have thought, like, I can decrease my own pay, right? Like, I'm not asking for a pay raise, but I would have thought that it was within some kind of legal boundaries to decrease my pay. They're like,
Yeah,
well,
but
no, thank you. I don't want to
know.
get paid that much. Like,
You might be right, but I'm not saying that your personal take is incorrect. But in your experience with paying attention to, like, government job kind of things, they're usually not straightforward and simple like that. Like, right now we have this weird thing. The city council had to vote to change the KPD merit system to allow the new police chief to change the civil service code for his deputy chiefs that he wants to bring in.
is that the new thing I saw that he was?
No, that's a different thing. No,
okay.
that's the hold your partner accountable program, which is cool.
Is that what it is? The share? Or
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called. I'll find it.
acronym,
I'll find it here in a second. We can talk about it. But so this is something the Compass guys were talking about the other day. And so essentially, Knox County or Knoxville Sheriff's or Knoxville Police Department, KPD, is the actual police chief is appointed by the mayor. It's hired. It's at the pleasure of the mayor's office. They work directly for the mayor's office. But everybody else in KPD is under the Civil Service Code, and under the Civil Servant Code, you can't hire outside for top level management. You have to hire up.
Okay.
And so it's like we have a problem with our cops. At least that's the conversation that's being had. We have a problem with our cops, and you're obligated by city charter to promote from within. And so it's like, well, how are you going to change the culture of a police department without? And so city council did the thing. And as far as what little time there was for anybody at KPD to have any understanding and therefore feedback was, most of them like, okay, whatever. But it's an issue. Like I don't know if Mr. Noel, Chief Noel, had asked for the city to do this, or the city had done this preemptively or not. I'm not sure which way that conversation went. It's not clear from what I've read on it, at least. Because he has said in public that he does want to hire, promote a few people because he's new here. He doesn't know anybody. He doesn't know Knoxville like these guys that have been here for a certain amount of time.
Right.
But apparently, up until this past last week in city council, KPD is the only office where upper management was still under civil service protections.
As far as in the state or in the city?
In the city. Of all the different city departments, there's like 100. What did Scott say? It's a bunch. 217, 216 of them operate where upper management can be hired directly by the mayor's office, top management, whatever. But then all the actual peon workers, they fall under the civil service code. Which is where you get, some of it's good, some of it's bad. It's a weird upside-down union kind of thing. It's the way the civil code, as I understand the civil service code, says, can't really get fired on certain levels. It's weird stuff. But there's a lot of protections in there for the employees, which I guess I get. I don't know. I don't really quite understand the depths of it. It'd be something I'd be curious to get a little deeper knowledge on, because I don't know it.
I don't know.
I know one county employee that has completely raped that system. And I mean, he's a good enough dude. I can't remember what he was. He was county brush pickup, whatever. What's it called? They pick up
waste maintenance. I don't know.
Yeah, but not non dump stuff trees and bushes and whatever. If you you don't mow your lawn for a long time or whatever, and it's considered a nuisance, and they come out and do it for you. He was on the crew that did kind of that, and he got hit by a truck in the county yard, in the county truck center where they move all the trucks in and out and all that stuff. He got hit by a truck in there. Got hurt pretty fucking bad. Sued the county. I'm sorry, went on disability. County let him go, I think is the story. They didn't fire him per se. They're you're on disability, you're at home.
Right.
You're not working for us anymore. So they filled the position. Then he sued the county for his job back, which he was physically incapable to do, hence his disability check that he was getting.
Right.
And so the settlement for the case, as I understood it, was they gave him a desk job. Because he's you can't fire me for getting hurt. And it's well, we didn't fire you. You stopped working.
Right.
I'd have to go back and find that specific lawsuit, but that's the story out of his mouth to me. He's yeah, I sued him because they wouldn't let me work. I was you couldn't work. You got hit by a truck.
I guess the big question would be, did he ask to come back into that same position?
Yeah, and I don't know what his story... I don't know.
Even if he was still able and he wanted to go to a different position, he would still have to apply to move to a different department.
Yeah.
And would have to go through an interview process and make sure that he was able to move into accounting or procurement or whatever.
Yeah, I'd be curious. I'd be curious to find the actual transcripts and court filings for that one, because I will acknowledge 100% that his version of the story is probably not the truth. This guy was, as a county employee, was at the bar no later than 4:00 every day when I was working. I mean, nice enough dude. Not really. He was a little handsy, grab asses and shit like that. If they stuck around late, if he was there past 8:30, 9 o'clock, you had to keep an eye on him for the rest of the night. Not because he'd get drunk and hurt himself or anything, but he'd start grabbing ass and stuff like that. Not even trying to be low key about it. Just turn around and grab people.
Cool.
Yeah, not cool. Not a cool guy at all. But that's the bar game. You can't do it without breaking the law, so you've got to be morally flexible.
I mean, isn't that where the establishment should be hey, this is driving some of our customers away. People don't want to come here because if there's drunk guys here,
we had to pull him aside.
They're telling how many asses he's going to grab.
We pulled him aside a few times, talked to him, and then he'd stop for 4 or 5 months, and we wouldn't have to worry about it. Or he'd come in less often or whatever, and it was fine. And then he'd slowly work his way back in, and everything would be cool. And then we'd have an incident, and then But and then 6 months later, so, God, I haven't thought about that dude in a long time. I'm not mad at that thought that I hadn't thought about him. But where did we start with that? Oh, civil service and stuff like that. Yeah. So that's an interesting little tidbit of how that little transition is going to finish working. But yeah, the ABLE thing, I think is what it's called.
Yeah, I think you're right.
There he is, ABLE. I feel like his I'm going to just start calling him, his name is, what is it, Noel?
Paul Noel.
Paul Noel. I just feel like if it's from New Orleans, no. It's got to be no. I think that's how he's got to say his last name.
That's not even how the French say it.
I don't give a shit. I'm just going to be obnoxious with it. Anyway, yeah, he submitted the department's application for the active bystandership for law enforcement project on Monday. But that's the whole, yeah, we talked about it before. It's the whole thing where it makes other officers that are on scene responsible for the actions of all officers that are on scene. And so if me and you are on beat together and you start beating the shit out of a guy randomly, I'm obligated to stop you because I'm in as much trouble as you are if we get busted.
Right.
Which, I mean, I think that it's sad that we have to sign up for that. That should be like a bare minimum, but, you know, baby steps, I guess.
I think where some of the gray area comes into that is if it's, you know, like your commanding officer.
Yeah. It's a tough spot. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I guess, again, like this is one of those big, broad, stupid conversations that we could go in real deep and get weird on. But it's like, what's the job? Like, what is the job that we expect as the community of our police officers? And to me, at least, judge and jury is not one of the jobs that I think is listed on there. Their job is to get me to a judge in front of a jury if I am alleged to have done something wrong.
Right.
And so, you know, that's one of those, like, I don't know, we've talked about it on a number of occasions, like the dude in Atlanta that got shot running away from the cops. I have a hard time thinking that the rules should be anything but clear, specific danger to you or other bystanders is the only excuse you ever have to shoot somebody. Like anything other than that, there's no, I can't fathom a reason. They ran away, so I shot them.
Right.
That doesn't make sense to me. Like that doesn't, it's just that like as core tenets of being a police officer.
Well, I couldn't catch him, but I had to stop him.
Right.
Figured I just got to shoot him. It's the only other way to stop him.
I had a few too many donuts. I already chased him like 2 blocks, and I was out of breath, so I shot his ass. I mean, it's a good shot, though. I mean, if you're heavy breathing and you can put a good shot, especially with a pistol. If you've got a little bit of distance, it's a good shot if you're breathing heavy.
I think there was some like wrestling before that.
Yeah. Again, like I don't know. Like even on that, even if like if you're a cop, somebody walks you up, punches you in the face, and runs away, you don't get to shoot them.
Right.
It's not okay. Ever. Unless they punch you in the face, take 2 steps back, and pull a gun out, then you can shoot them. But short of that, like I think that's one of those. I don't know. It feels so duh to me, but it doesn't seem to be true in reality. And so again, I guess that's the question. Like, what do we expect our police to do normally? What is the day-to-day job that we see our police officers supposed to do? And then we build policy around getting to that standard. So what do you think? If you were to write the basic rules and regulations for Knox County Sheriff's Department.
Wouldn't even know where to begin.
It is complicated. That word. I had one. What else did I have that I wanted to talk about? There's something specific and I can't remember. There's some new bipartisan gun regs running through in the feds.
Yeah, I heard there was some kind of agreement, at least on the Senate side.
Yeah, there's 10 Republicans, which is enough to be.
Apparently, it was a pretty watered down version of it.
Yeah,
so I'm assuming they would still have to go back to the House. So
for the adjustments.
It was pretty obvious that the House bill wasn't going to pass the Senate.
Yeah, I mean it does. It provides.
I think it just adds
funding 4 states who want to implement a red flag law. It doesn't make a federal red flag law.
No, I didn't see anything about funding.
Yeah, it's
So that it would raise the age to 21.
the House one did. The new adjusted one doesn't raise the age officially to 21, but it puts a longer waiting period for an 18, 19, or 20-year-old to buy an assault style weapon. So they can still buy it, but they can't buy it and shoot it today.
Right.
So it would add a grace period in there only for that subset. It would strengthen the background check system. I don't remember. I think it has a gun show loophole or whatever they call it.
Did you see the
Straw purchases.
Right. The front of the News Sentinel Sunday? Isn't that the one newspaper day you guys get?
It is, but I just open it and throw it away and then just get the puzzles out.
Yeah.
What was it?
It was the whole big headline about gun show loophole and kind of about that.
About how we use the shit out of it here in Knox County on the reg every time we do a gun show.
Well, they talked about, I guess, one of the companies that puts on, I guess it's throughout the country, but I guess one of the ones that does it a number of times around here, it's like RK Holdings or RK something, it's the guy's name. But there was actually, they spoke specifically about 2 different ATF investigations over the past couple of years of 2 guys that they had found at gun shows that were going back to multiple tables, and I guess, or going back to the same table. Apparently they were, I guess some people that sign up, I guess they are legally selling there. I guess they've
right.
signed up as a vendor, but
right.
they're not a licensed firearm seller. I forget what the actual name for the license you're supposed to have. But apparently they just like set up a table, and if you didn't know any better, you would think they were, an official vendor, yeah, but
right.
They had like a whole table full of guns. They said, it's not hard to kind of figure out which tables aren't like having you fill out paperwork and doing background checks and stuff. That I guess they're able to kind of, and I think even some of the head ATF guys said there is a bit of a gray area, and how you could essentially kind of represent yourself as like, oh, hey, I just had, my grandparents just died and they had all these guns, so I'm just trying to sell them. Because there's something about you can't sell to make profit, basically. Not so much against like a person-to-person sale, but then I guess you're considered kind of a licensed dealer if you're selling guns specifically to make profit.
Okay.
But apparently, I guess walking around a gun show, you can kind of figure out which tables, like the lines are going through a lot faster, and it's like, oh, okay, they're not making me fill out paperwork. I'm going to scoot over to that table real quick.
Right. I hope he has something cool left by the time I get up to the front of the line.
One of the guys that got pulled over afterwards, and I guess I think he was out of the driver's seat, but there was another police officer that was searching the vehicle, and then the guy jumped back in the car, started driving off with the cop, and I guess the cop even like tased him a couple times.
Nice.
So he also got like attempted kidnapping of a police officer.
They were attempting to kidnap
other
him.
Additional charges.
They were attempting to kidnap him.
How so?
That's what a traffic stop is.
Traffic stops are kidnapping.
Absolutely.
Okay.
How
so?
If I in my vehicle stopped you on the street,
right,
took you out of your car, and put you in the back of my car.
I'm now kidnapped because you've asked me to step out of the car.
I take you out of your car and put you in the back of my car and drive away. What am I doing?
You're under arrest.
If I,
right,
just Lord Seth, regular dude on the street,
right, citizen's arrest,
pulled up next to you,
you have kidnapped,
flashlights at you, got you to pull over, grabbed you out of your car, threw you in the back of mine, and drive away. That is kidnapping.
Yeah, an impersonation of an officer.
I didn't say I was a cop. Not in my story version. It doesn't matter.
You had flashing lights. So you were acting as a police officer.
I said flashing lights. I didn't say blue or red or whatever. I just said I was flashing my headlight at you.
Oh, you were flashing your headlights at.
Doesn't matter. The moral of the story is, I, citizen, take you out of your vehicle, put you in mine, and take you somewhere else. That is kidnapping.
Yes.
But when you have a uniform and a light rack on your car that is provided by the state, it's not kidnapping.
Because they also have arrest authority.
Oh, check.
They have the legal requirement to detain someone,
right,
and to take them in front of a judge or to the jail to
Which
be detained.
Reminded me, I apologize. Did you see the follow-up story on our beans guys?
No, that's all you sent some little blurb about.
Yes, their probable cause for getting pulled over was following too closely. Which I'm sure there's some specific standard, but I don't know how you prove that in court. Other than hitting somebody. If you rear-end somebody, you're following too closely by definition. But their probable cause for the stop was they were following too closely.
Okay.
And then 2 of the guys are now in.
I think a good stretch of 75/40 going through town is what they call it, like a high or it's like aggressive driving enforcement area.
I didn't know that. Do they have to announce that? I don't see signage for it.
Well, look next time.
I mean, drive it pretty regularly.
Apparently, you drive too fast because you don't see the signs.
Maybe,
But
it's very possible. I see.
There's not a whole bunch of them. I think it's pretty much like when you come into the area, and there may be a few spotty ones in between, but it's considered like an aggressive driving enforcement zone or something.
So just they have more excuses to pull you over because they need more excuses to pull you over.
You're right. They shouldn't pull you over whatsoever until you've harmed someone. They should wait. They should let people just drag race down the highway, and unless you hit someone, you're golden.
Okay, works for me.
We're in agreement.
Sweet. But yeah, I thought that's extra sucky. Those guys are not getting deported. Maybe getting deported. It's not sure.
No, we're not a sanctuary city.
Not clear.
So we automatically report to
287G.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I don't know. I haven't heard if Mr. Noel has any stance on that because apparently it's optional by the heads of the local law enforcement. You don't have to do it. I think there's a funding thing though, so of course everybody wants to do it. They get money. Maybe it's almost a bounty program. You get extra for every person you put into Homeland Security or Border Patrol or whatever it is. You get a bonus check from the feds
for every illegal you turn in.
Maybe. I mean, I'll bet you there's a funding. I'm sure there's a funding element to it. And I would assume, like any generally terribly written whatever, it's going to put it in some really gross way where it makes it almost a bounty system.
I doubt it's on a per incident basis.
Maybe just annually.
It may just be if you participate in that program, they give you funding.
But you have to. I mean, you'd have to have some production, or they're not going to keep giving you funding. You signed up for the program. Here's $100 million. You gave us 0 people. We're not going to give you $100 million again.
Maybe.
I don't know. I'm just making shit up. I have no fucking clue on the details.
At least you can agree you're just making shit up.
I would assume there is some incentive to it. I don't know. I mean, I guess for a sheriff, there's political incentive in a county that's racist. I guess like Knox County is. Like that would be the theory.
Why is Knox County racist?
I don't know. I was just making the joke of if you think that people that aren't legally residing here should be removed, that makes you a racist, right? Pop culturally speaking. I don't know. What do you got?
There was an interesting story. It was out of Virginia. Apparently it's been going on for a little while, but there was some like gold hunters. I don't think they had a TV show or anything like that, but they been tracking down. There was some kind of it was during the Civil War. It was not a caravan. What do they call them? Like the old Wells Fargo. What'd you call that? A stagecoach. I guess.
There you go.
It was like an armored stagecoach wagon. Yeah. That apparently like went missing. I guess it was leaving like Philadelphia Mint or something like that to go somewhere. And they were pretty sure they'd found it. And they actually like went to the authorities. They're like, "Hey, we think we found this like long lost gold." And apparently the FBI was there. Or the FBI came in and took over and said they didn't find anything.
Okay.
But apparently now there's some evidence to believe they may have found something. I don't know if a trail cam was already set up, but apparently the lawyer for this, they have some kind of company. It's like Gold Finders or whatever. And actually like came out and said, like, "Hey, we've got this trail cam that like shows people with like a bipod or tripod set up with a camera, and you guys saying you don't have any video footage of, the investigation that you guys did." There's a few more little things to it. And apparently in like one of the responses to the lawyers or whatever, they're like, we only have 16 tapes of evidence or whatever. Then it went down to just 4. And those 4 tapes were the 4 tapes that the Gold Finders had sent the FBI as part of their evidence of, hey, this is why we think the gold's there. Apparently, the FBI has been pretty hush hush about
So why?
if they did find anything. They said they didn't find anything.
Okay, so
It would be like
from the way you're telling the story,
$50 million or something worth of gold.
It seems pretty clear that you think they probably found something, and the FBI is.
Right, that's the way the story's leading. Yeah.
Okay. So why do you think the FBI would be hush hush about it?
I have no idea.
Like, I mean, is it as simple?
I mean, the only logical explanation is if they wanted to hide it and keep all the money for themselves, which I don't know how they would hide that much money.
Right, because they don't want the people that found it to get whatever.
Right, and I think that's all they wanted. They basically wanted like the finder's fee.
Right.
Or the finder's.
Right, it's just like
the finder's portion
20%
of it, yeah.
or whatever. It's like $50 million or whatever. It's
right.
It's a good chunk of change. Plus, it's it's museum quality stuff. Because like the stagecoach and some of the artifacts themselves are worth something.
Right. Well, yeah, I guess if it was an armored stagecoach, it may not have rusted, depending on how it was buried. Blah blah blah.
I mean, there's still got to be stuff. Like there's just got to be random stuff that survived.
Probably. Yeah.
That's that some museum would buy. May not be high end.
Right.
Dude,
I thought that was a crazy little story.
What is your beef, bro?
Did you see Turkey change their name officially?
What is Turkey now? The bird or the country?
The country.
What is it?
They added like the little double dots over one of the something, but it's basically like the spelling of it they've changed. But I guess on like their little UN placard, it's going to say it differently.
So it's like in an Arabic spelling instead of in an English spelling or something like that?
No, it's still English spelling. All countries have a uniform. I think English is just
no, because if you have
widely
like
accepted.
What's Russia's language? What's their
Russian.
alphabet? They have the Coptic.
Yeah, something like that.
Is
Yeah,
what it's called, the Coptic alphabet.
something like that.
And so when you see them, their writing of a thing, or you just go to any of the Asian countries that use characters. On their placard, it often has the character and then the word China underneath it.
I don't think it's like the UN. I think all the countries are written in English.
Huh. I haven't paid that much attention to that. But I mean, like Olympics and stuff like that, they always do shit like that where it gives the native look of the country name and then it does it in English for the broadcast.
So, yeah, I can't think of too many uniforms that I've seen. Even then, I thought most of it's still written in English.
I mean, right. But I mean, like Brazil, and I mean, there's the English spelling of Brazil, and then there's the Portuguese spelling in Brazil. It's different spelling, same letters, not series of letters.
Changing the S for the Z.
Stuff like that. But I'm just saying, like, it's still the same. What is it? Greco. What's the name of the American or the English alphabet? Like it has a name. Like it's Arabic alphabet.
Yeah, I think it is an Arabic alphabet.
I
almost said that, then I was like, well, no, because it looks nothing like the Arabic language. I was like, I don't think it's an Arabic.
Anyway, moral of the story is we don't know what the firms are on this way.
I mean, you can Google it and look at it.
Turkey's new spelling.
They officially changed the spelling of their name.
Turkey changes its official name to Turkey. T-U with an umlaut. R-K-I-Y-E.
Yeah.
The name of Turkey is simply the way it's always been spelled and pronounced in Turkish. Yeah, that's what I meant. Anyway. And pictures of turkey on the Turkish
with
flag.
the Turkish flag.
That's random. Turkish. That's interesting. That's a random ass little sub thing. Recession's coming. Bear market. Knox County. What's going on close? What's been happening here? I'm trying to think of what I missed.
It was weird because I read a story the other day about Target was like lowering their prices on everything.
Well, Target.
I mean, when you look around, people are still buying a whole bunch of shit, and it's like everybody's bitching about inflation, but I still see so much just frivolous shopping.
Yeah.
So a lot of people aren't acting like they're hurt. I don't know if it's just everybody putting their shit on the MasterCard. And
I mean, credit card debt is an all-time high. I believe I'd heard in a particular story Savings is at an all-time low. Boo, 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 boo. All right, so we talked Deputy Chiefs. Big Ears Festival made a bunch of money.
Bonnaroo starts this week.
Woo!
Yeehaw.
Apparently, Helen Moss McNabb is getting that's tomorrow, City Council. The City Council is going to vote to lease Helen Moss McNabb an entire building in the new St. Mary's Public Safety Complex or whatever, up by Fulton High School, where they're building the new police department and all that stuff's going. That is going to be they're going to lease an entire building, which is an existing building. One of the few buildings they didn't tear down on the property, and it's going to be a emergent care clinic, and acute mental health clinic. Helen Moss McNabb is going to run the health clinic, and they're going to sublease the emergency clinic.
Do I guess some kind of healthcare provider?
I guess, and it's like I'm curious to follow all the little moving pieces in this thing, because they're getting the building for $1 a year for 10 years. The state's given Helen Moss McNabb $4 million to retrofit the building, clean it up, fix it, get it to what they need it to be.
It's been shut down for a while.
Yeah, and it's been they've been doing all the construction and shit around it. It's probably pretty well destroyed, but. I don't know how their services get paid for and stuff like that, but it seems like a pretty lucrative gig that's getting started here for Helen Moss McNabb. You're getting a building for essentially free, so you just got to staff it, and then I don't know who you bill services to. I don't know how all that works, because I'm assuming a lot of people that are going to use their services are uninsured.
I think they're a nonprofit.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm curious how that's going to... Again, I'm not complaining about it. I'm just curious the mechanics of this thing that's happening. We'll look into that a little further as it goes.
From the outset, it seems good. We need more mental health services.
Yeah, and I mean, that's... one of the complaints from North Knoxville is that they lost their emergency room when St. Mary's left. All right. So they don't get an emergency room back, so they don't have to go downtown.
Many people complain when they shut, North Shore down that a lot of people that were just in like a mental health crisis, or police were responding, and then of course they're acting a fool in front of the cops, so the cops just arrest them, put them in jail.
Yeah, Lakeshore.
What did I say?
North Shore.
Sorry.
Yeah, I was like, I knew what you were saying as you got going. I know, but I just want to make sure.
Right. Yeah, Lakeshore.
And they turned that into a hell of a park. There's a fucking festival this weekend, next weekend there.
Saw something they were wanted. Something else big they were wanting to do with North Shore Park.
Oh, they got a huge
Lakeshore Park.
They have a huge renovation that they're halfway through.
Maybe that's what I saw.
Yeah, they're doing a huge thing to it. But apparently there's I'm trying to remember which one. There is a small festival that's going on over the summer here in Knox County that Big Boy is headlining.
Who's Big Boy?
From Outkast. Big Boy and Andre 3000.
Huh.
Big Boy's like the normal rapper, where Andre was the crazy weird one. I'd go see Big Boy. I wouldn't go to a festival because I don't like the idea of festivals. But
do that there. There's some wide open space, but
when's the last time you've been there, dude? They've cleared a lot out.
A couple months ago.
They've done a lot of work in there.
I've seen how they had like the little plastic fences up along.
Yeah,
kind of like the walkway goes around.
Yeah, they've added a couple miles to the walkway and some little add-ons, whatever. But like right underneath the building on the river side, they flattened a bunch of that out. They put a big retaining wall in. They put a new bathroom in over there. It looks nice, like the renderings.
I've seen the little chapel area they've had built for a little while.
That's a weird.
We had like open air.
We had a scout. We had a scout meeting there, and we couldn't find the lights. And everybody brought their flashlights. Everybody had their headlamps, so it was really funny. A bunch of scouts running around with their headlamps on. It worked fine, but it's just like, where's the damn light switch? All right, City of Knoxville, Lakeshore Park, part of Lakeshore Greenways, directions, playground, park rules.
I do like the nice rubberized playground there.
It's a cool playground.
Nice
they got some scary. They got a couple of those things that get pretty scary too on the new playset.
Yeah, really.
There's one that's like it's just like a pole with like foot and handholds on it, but it spins real easy. but it's like got a little bit of a tilt to it. So it's not like a perfect flat spin, like you're standing on it spinning like a top. It's got a little bit of a tilt to it. So once you get going, it's like ka-tunk! Like you almost like it almost throws you off when it gets on the low side of the spin.
Yeah. It's easier to build momentum to keep going around.
I guess, but like I've seen a couple kids on there, like one on there, the other pushing, or two of them on there running around. It's like, dude, like that's one of those things. Like, gives you that little parent like.
Be careful.
All right, so the Lakeshore Conservatory. There you go. There's that south side I was talking about.
Oh wow. I haven't driven by that little park.
This Saturday is the Lakeshore Park Picnic. Bring your picnic baskets. Events about the park. Phase 2 improvements. So we'll see. Your website sucks. Click. I clicked the button. It doesn't do. Okay. Anyway. Yeah, I got some weird, like there's this big weird, like, oblong. Here you go. This is one of the renderings. Like, you got these little baseball fields. But like this thing. I don't know what that is. It almost looks like a cricket pitch field. What do they call cricket?
I don't know what they call it.
This weird oblong thingy.
We tried to watch it once and couldn't figure it out.
John Boy does one, and I get it a little bit more now. It's still weird.
Like John Boy and Billy John Boy?
No. John Boy Media, he does a bunch of baseball and stuff like that. It's pretty funny. He does little breakdown videos. Like, if I was more into baseball, I would love it. I enjoy them, but if I was more into baseball, I would have loved it. But I'm not. Anyway, Lakeshore Park, everybody. That was our conversation on Lakeshore. But they've done a bunch of work there. It's looking better, and they've got
driven around the whole thing because the roads only take you around. So, pretty much go around the whole thing on the road. Used to, I don't think you could drive around the whole thing. You pretty much had that upper parking lot. I think to go down to where the soccer fields and baseball fields were, I think you had to go around a different way. Yeah,
there's one road that runs more or less all the way through that goes from Lions Bend to North Shore.
Yeah.
And then there's like a couple little like side pull offs or whatever, but that's about it.
There's one building close to North Shore. I swear it's like a storage facility for like garbage cans.
Yeah, it is.
That's part of the
it's
city.
It's a city. I mean, I don't know. It's just the city using. I mean, city property. I don't know. Maybe they. I don't know. Oh, we made an offer on a house.
Nice.
Got refused or got outbid or whatever. I don't know.
I saw NPR had a story where they were asking for people for feedback, I guess, on a story they're developing that was, have you had, like, basically in price wars and trying to get apartments? I guess people are experiencing, like, bidding wars and just trying to get into an apartment.
Like, I'm confused. Like, the issue I have with the conversation, like, I get it here. Like, I understand the problems we're having here. It makes sense. We have a huge influx of people. And that's going to...
Have we really?
Yeah.
I know, like, Tennessee has, but I didn't know about Knoxville specifically.
I mean, Nashville's getting the bulk of it as a percentage or whatever, but Knoxville has had a large increase. And like I was joking with Hanson when he was on the show, and I made the joke a bunch of times, a bunch of different elected people. I was like, if they would have done the census a year later, I think we would have doubled I think the growth would double what the census showed in 2020. So from 2010 to 2020, I think we almost that entire 10 years of growth. I think we probably did that again in 21, 22. Like it's been pretty extensive. And but at the same time, you're not wrong because there is this weird investment game going on that's new.
Well, I haven't heard them trying to build many new schools. I think we've had that much of an influx.
We have
of people.
two. I think there's two on the capital calendar of new schools.
We've been kind of short-staffed for a while,
right?
Like Hardin Valley just got a middle school like 4 or 5 years ago.
But that's the inevitability of the system. It's always going to be behind.
Right. I remember years ago when I remember people saying when they built AL lots that before they even finished building it, it was already full.
Right. Farragut or whatever it is, North Shore Elementary there next to Target and shit's the same way. It was full before it got finished being built. Because I mean that's that. I mean, but it's weird. Like my nieces go there. Well, went there. They're both in middle school now. Maybe just my youngest niece. Anyway, and they live way the fuck out in Choteau, like way down North Shore. Like it's and I get it. I guess I don't know what else is out there, but like it's a good drive.
I mean, you're almost close to Lenoir City, but I mean, you're almost equidistant with
right. But I'm just saying,
with some of Farragut too.
There's no other elementary schools out there.
Yeah,
there's Farragut Primary or whatever, but that gets in up. I mean, it's a little further up once you get to Concord and all that kind of shit. But anyway, moral of the story is, I just thought that was kind of crazy. I figured, I don't know. I just assumed there was another school out there somewhere, but there's not yet. I'm sure there will, but they need to put one out there.
Yeah, because that's been developed more and more.
And so, but again, I guess the point being is that I don't know, like, when you get to the national housing conversation, I get confused. Like, I understand this private equity influx is really fucking around with the entire thing. But, like, when you get to, like, where's everybody coming from? Like, where's everybody that's moving into Nashville, to Tennessee at large? Forget it. Who cares about what the specific for us super local is? But state of Tennessee has had clear migration, bunch of people moving down here. Or up
A lot of people think bigger cities that are more expensive. Then you've also got, not necessarily bigger cities, but I guess a lot of companies have kind of switched or had hybrid work environments where people can work from home. So a lot of people are like, oh, well, I can go find another cheaper place to live. And
right, but again, where are they coming from? Like, it's just for
states.
Like, just for conversation's sake, it'd be like New York's, Chicago's, maybe Detroit.
That's kind of heard some of like the major cities,
but they are also having housing problems.
All right.
So how do you have a housing shortage when everybody's leaving? That's where I get confused in the whole thing. Like, I get it on the local scale here. It makes sense. We have a large influx of people coming in.
I think it was nationally. I remember reading it was like something crazy, like 1.2 million houses that the U.S. was essentially short, yeah.
But I mean, that's again, I just assume, like, I believe that number, I guess. But I would bet that the majority of those are in the destination places, and that there are vacant homes in the places people are leaving. Like, that's what again. I mean, does my question make sense at least? Like, am I?
Yeah.
Being remotely logical.
I get what you're saying. Yeah, when somebody leaves, you have an empty house.
Right. If a lot of people are leaving, say, New York City.
Right. You also have a lot of people that are wanting to move to the big cities for a job.
But it's still a shell game. Wherever they're coming from, eventually, if you trace it all the way backwards, there should be vacancies.
Right.
And I agree that they may not be equal to the number of needed places.
And there's been a number of people that are kind of stuck in the middle. Like, they haven't been able to find a house to move into. They don't want to be in between houses, or I mean, they may not even sold their house yet because they don't want to sell their house until they know they've got something else to move into, because they know how quickly houses sell.
Right. Well, that's a crazy thing.
How much slower it is just to find a house.
The house we made an offer on, right? So, I found it on Zillow on Thursday. Messaged the realtor we're working with, send the link to it, whatever. She's like, well, it's not showing yet. It's showing they start showing it on Saturday and Sunday. You want me to schedule a showing? So yeah, let's get in there. Let's check it out. And so it's down. It's right on the edge of Knox County, at Maryville, the Blount County line. Technically, it's 12-acre property. Like 2 or 3 of the acres are actually in Blount County. That's not cool. And so I was down in Maryville for work on Friday, so I swung by and kind of did a drive-by on the place before we went to do the actual viewing, because I wanted to make sure it was worth taking the effort with everybody down there and all that kind of crap.
People were already there.
No, there was actually a dumpster in the driveway where they had cleared a bunch of stuff out of the house, and I'd walked around the yard and looked around a little bit, checked it out, blah, blah, blah. And so touch base with the realtor. He's like, yeah, let's check it out. When's the showing? She's like, the first showing I could find was Sunday morning at 9. Well, actually, no. She's like, she first said it was fully booked, but I'll put us on the wait list. And then she's like, hey, one opened up 9 Sunday morning. You want to go? Yeah, we're there. So we go, we check it out. Escalating offer up to maximum that we can afford, blah, 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 blah. And she's like, so bids are due, or offers are due 9 a.m. Monday. and they will have an answer by 9 p.m. Monday night. So literally, this house was on the market for 48 hours.
Yep.
And this thing was a shithole. $300,000. 12.5 acres. I was willing to deal with a trash house. I don't have to live in it anyway. The family's moving in there. They wanted it. They were really excited about it, and everybody's really bummed that we didn't have it. Or we didn't get it. We didn't get it. But 12.5 acres, good chunk, maybe a third of it's flat. And then it goes up into the mountainside. There's this little cabin tucked way in the back that's just, it's not even a I don't know. Primitive cabin, I think, is what the technical realtor term is. It's just it's a house with no electricity or no water or anything. It's just a small building. Mm-hmm. It's a shed, I guess, is what I would call it. But and there's like a blueberry patch that the prior had planted and a bunch of different stuff. Like, I mean, it checked a bunch of boxes for us, and it wasn't going to be the nicest living quarters, but it was doable, and we could do some work on it and blah, 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 blah. But we could hunt it up there. I got a couple of ticks on me on the way out.
Nice. Which
means there's mammals, which means there's probably deer up in there. There's certainly turkey. So we could have hunted up there. That would have been cool. But alas, we got outbid.
Oh, we could have hunted up there.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, Knox County is Unit A. There's you can hunt in right next to Imes. There's a greenway in Knox County. Like, I looked at it on the map, and it's like neighborhood, like 6 acres, tiny little green patch that's next to Imes. And it's archery only. There's all sorts of regs on it because it's in a highly, like, it said something like it had a picture, or it had a copy of the bike path signs. There's bike paths all over the place apparently through this park.
Right.
And it's like, this is the bike path sign, and it said it has the dates of when to ride your bike in this park you have to wear orange.
Yeah.
And so I was like, that's good. I'm glad they do that. But you could like bike. I was thinking like I could bike in, park my bike, lock it to a tree, hike in a little bit, go hunting, and try to ride my deer out on a bike if I could pull it off.
I know they're really expensive now, but I've heard like more hunters have bought some of those little electric bikes just to get back into their little honey hole.
Yeah,
so they're not walking.
No, it's worth it. It's if you can do it, you can do it.
Right.
But and then the next house I found was already had an offer on it before I even got home. After I looked at it, I was way up in Max's neighborhood. But it was a cool little house. It was a weird little house, 2 acres. It was tucked in this little corner. I don't know what the deal is. I'm pretty sure that the listing said that it had an offer, but financing fell through. And when I went out there and looked at it, I'm betting that the inspection was bad and the bank refused to pay the loan. Because it was a pretty weird little old house. It's kind of neat, honestly. I didn't get to go inside, but at least from the outside in the pictures, it's like I could see how this could be a problem house. Like, there was a crawl space that was open. I look under there. There's insulation just everywhere. It's not packed into the rafters like it's supposed to be. It's just all on the ground and whatever. And it's like, okay, yeah, I see what's going on here.
The animals have gotten down in there.
Yeah, but it was still $250, and it's like it's crazy numbers. But I've seen a couple other ones. I mean, there's one city proper down south side on Taliwa by the Knoxville Billiards Hall, which is the place that we were not talking about. We were both talking about different places. Because the one that I was talking about is the Plasma Center now. That was a pool hall and
right, but I was saying it was the one that was literally right next to your old apartments. I don't know why you thought it was a different one.
Pretty close to.
Like, I'm pretty sure like the parking lot actually went up into
your chain, right? There was a chain across 2 poles that kept their parking lot from our parking lot.
How was it actually chained up?
Yeah. But went and looked a couple houses in there. There's one house in there. It's pretty decent, $250. It's not bad. In the city proper too. Like I mean, I like it. I don't think the family will because it's only on like an acre.
Right.
They want land, and it's like I know you want land. I love for you to have land. I don't know if it's gonna happen. It's gonna be a lot to pull that off.
And have they looked out much further in like surrounding counties?
I mean, we looked around a little bit. Like, I mean, I thought the one that we looked at that we made the offer on was in Blount County when I went out to look at it. I didn't realize it. I pulled up our hunting app because I was trying to find the property lines. Couldn't figure out because there was a bunch of different fences They'd fenced in a bunch of different subsections of the yard. And I was like, is this fenced in area of this yard or is it the neighbor's yard? Yeah. So I pulled up Onyx to look at it. And Onyx tells you what county you're in. I was like, oh, shit, this is Knox County. I thought we were in Blount County. But, yeah, I mean, that's what I was thinking.
If they're looking for acres,
yeah,
probably need to look at
right. But we also need to be
outside the city,
right? But we also need to be within a half hour of a hospital, a good hospital, and it's got to be a certain size house and stuff. It's doable. Obviously, we found a couple that checked boxes, but may not be doable in budget because the couple that we found that were checking all the boxes got bid out before we could make a real offer.
Things are going fast.
Yeah, but they're slowing down, whatever that fucking means. I mean, there's less
slowing down to being super, super fast. Now it's just fast.
Right, and apparently, according to at least our realtor we talked to her, is like, and I think Hanson said it when he was there too. It's like it's slowing down in the sense that you have less sight unseens, and that was the thing that was really, really throwing the market sideways.
Yeah,
because you had a lot of California, New York, Nevada people that were just had realtors. They're like, yeah, here's a check.
Yeah, no
inspection, none of that kind of stuff. Just I'll buy it.
Yeah, I heard that too. There were a lot of people that were foregoing the inspections.
Well, I mean, like this one, like this house that we offered on is like it's being sold as is. You can have an inspection, but they're not going to fix it.
Probably lost the house. Yeah.
Right, they're not going to fix it.
They're not negotiating. Like you can have it inspected for your own.
Right, which is essentially what she said. She's like, you still want to do an inspection? I was like, yeah. And I was like, I want to know what's going on, but it's going to be, but they're not going to change anything.
Right.
So I can change the price. I can't be like, okay, hey, look, the inspection came back. This is about to fall over. Can you fix that before I buy it? Nope.
Right.
We said as is. Which I don't understand. Like, I don't know. Realistically, I don't know. The process is so weird. Like, it's such a weird. I don't know. It's just scammy. I don't like it. I don't like real estate. I don't like the whole thing. It's a mess.
It's just people taking advantage of the system and the need and the drive.
Well, I don't know. It's a weird, like the fact that you have to have a license
to
write the contracts, to do the paperwork.
Yeah. I
can't just buy a house. Like, hey, you have a thing and I want it. Here's money. Is that enough money? Yes. Cool. Like that. Like I struggle with.
It should be easy, kind of like a car deed. You can just sign the deed over.
I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying, in forget about deeds and loans and any of that weird parts of it. Just in the straight market economy of things, you have a thing, I want the thing.
Right.
You want money, I have money. Here's money, give me the thing. Deal. Why do I need a third or fourth or fifth party? I mean, essentially with a real estate transaction, you have your realtor, my realtor, the property assessor, the county clerk with tax purposes and stuff like that. And then you have an inspector, and then you have insurance company. I mean, you have 6, 7, 8 people involved in a transaction. And I understand it's a large transaction because then you have both banks as well. So we're up to 9 or 10 different people. And I understand for the bank's sake, and the banks have
what's insurance do
in the transaction. Like when we bought this house, we bought the house. We were done. We were moved in. And I got a call from my agent, and he's like, "Hey, can you send me a picture of your roof?" I was like, "What?" He's like, "I'm looking at the picture here from the inspector. I have a question about this one little spot right here. Can you get a up close picture of that?" I was like, "I have to get on the roof." He's like, "Never mind, we'll send somebody out." Because he doesn't want me on the roof because I fall off the roof, that the insurance has got to pay for it. But so they send somebody out, and apparently there's...
How are they your insurance agent for that?
Well, he's been my car insurance agent forever.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
And when we were shopping the house, I was like, "Hey, we're buying a house." He's like, "Yeah, we do. It'll actually get you a percentage off your car insurance
when you bundle."
Yeah. And he went through that whole thing. I was like, "Okay, cool, whatever." But so we'd already bought the house, moved in, and he was like, "Hey," and then so I guess they got up there and looked at it, and there was a couple of nails that had been pulled up by the wind from the shingles, and so there's a bulge, and he was concerned that bulge was actually
swelling,
the wood of the roof being swollen or whatever. And he's like, "Hey, my guy went up there, looked at it, and he just stepped on it and pushed those nails back in." And so it's fine, no big deal or whatever. But he was like, if it was that thing, we would have, because maybe we hadn't moved in yet. Maybe we were still in contract and hadn't finished. We hadn't closed yet. That's right. And he's like, if that would have been swelling from water damage, we would have reported that to the bank, and the bank would have refused the loan. Because that would be something that would bring value to the house, likely do damage. Insurance company is going to reduce how much they're going to cover it. And since the insurance company says, well, if the house was X, Y, and Z, we'd cover $180,000. But since it's got this, that, and the other, we're only going to cover $140,000. If the insurance is only going to cover $140,000, the bank's not going to give me the loan for the $165,000 that I need to buy the house. I'm making up these numbers because I don't remember the specifics. Right. Those are all wrong because I paid less than that for this house, to be honest. But that whole debacle, shape, move, form, whatever. But again, point is there's 8, 9, 10 people now involved in the process of, you have a thing, I want the thing, here's the money, give me the thing. Now again, I get it in the sense that the banks want to protect their investment because the banks are lending me money to do so and stuff like that. But the real ones that I think you could take out, like I don't understand the value of the real estate of the agent themselves. Like if they're helping you look for houses,
they're providing a service for helping you find it. But I'm assuming they probably got their connections as far as their.
In my experience, and up until we started recording, because the agent just texted me like 5 different houses in the last 15 minutes since we've been recording. But in my experience with this house that we bought, this shopping experience we're doing right now, and Max and I looking for property, for land, for hunting, well, I guess all of us looking to have this whole hunting land conversation, is, hey man, you're an agent? Yeah, this is what I'm looking for. I mean, even with commercial properties, hey man, you do commercial properties? This is what I'm looking for. Something like this, and I give the 2-bedroom, 1-bath, whatever, the whole spiel.
Right.
And I don't get anything from them. It's like that's the service I thought was supposed to be the real estate agent's thing, is they're going to help you find the thing you're looking for. But for my experience, for the most part, they can get you access to the key box to get in the place that you tell them that you found on Zillow. Like this house, I found this house. I found this house looking in the paper or Zillow or whatever it was at the time. All the houses I've looked at so far with this other property that we're doing, or this other shopping experience we're doing right now, I found. When Max and I have gone and looked at properties, they're properties that we found. No agents are bringing to it. Like I thought that was the service.
Right.
That was my understanding of what a real estate agent for a buyer is we're going to help you find a house. It's like, well, you're helping me get in the house. You may, if it's a land acquisition, you may help me figure out where the property lines are, where the property is specifically, some of the detailed information about the property that maybe is not on the listing or something like that, but you're not finding the property for me, and I thought that's what you did. And so maybe I've just had a shitty run of
could be. I mean, it could just be completely overworked, so they're focusing on a handful of people,
right? And they don't know how, and at least they don't have experience with working with me, and they don't know how serious I am, and so how much effort they're going to put forth.
All right.
But at the same time, really, like as a buyer's agent gets paid by the seller anyway. So, which is another weird issue. I mean, that's weird to me too. It's like you work for me, but they pay you. So you work for them. Even though they have a separate agent that is actually representing them.
Just because they help bring you as the buyer to them.
That's what I thought they did, but that's what I was saying. That in my experience so far, that hasn't been what real estate agents have done for me. Again,
so might be able to argue, like, well, I found this myself. They didn't do anything.
But I mean, they're still on the.
Or you may be able to go to the seller and be like, hey, you shouldn't give him that $1,000 or whatever. Like,
no, but they do all the contract paperwork, and since they instigate all the paperwork and they do all that side of it, which there's a service to that too, I suppose. But again, that goes back to that whole stupid thing. It's like, hey, you have a thing. I want the thing. Here's the money. Give me the thing. Why do I have this person over here? If this person was helping me find you because you had the thing, I can understand paying for that service. But if it's literally just a bunch of paperwork, why do I need a bunch of paperwork?
You and the other party should be able to just go to the banks. They're like, hey, this guy wants to sell his house.
I mean,
he wants to sell it for $200. Can I get a loan for $200?
Right. And my relationship with the bank is a conversation. I mean, that's a different relationship conversation, sure. But it's like, I have good credit. I've done the good things. I make this much money. Bank, I'm good for the money. Like, I could pay it even if I don't live there or sell it or rent it or whatever I'm going to do with it, but I can pay for it, period. Here's documentation to show you that I can. Sure. You know, why would I, again, hey, bank, I want to, I mean, literally, if you have the right credit and stuff, if you have exceptional credit and things like that, and you have a good relationship with your banker.
See a lot of, for sale signs, like for sale by owner. I don't know if that cuts out a few people, or if you're just not listing it through a real estate agency. Yeah,
those are good questions. Both good questions. I don't know exactly.
So, assuming it's what the agency is to provide that extra thing where, or back in the day, I don't know if they still make those like little books where it's all the homes that are for sale.
But that's what I'm saying. Where
they go through and they take a bunch of pictures and.
But that has not been my experience, and that's what's confusing to me.
And you see, some real estate agents will go in and kind of, before this whole crazy mess of shit selling out from under you super fast. They would go in and kind of like prep the place and, get one of the candles that smell like, oatmeal cookies to when the people come and look at it. They're like, oh, this place looks like.
Right, but that's a seller's agent, not a buyer's agent.
Right.
Now, any real estate agent can do both, but again, like my point being, it's like, so my understanding, like what I expect from a real estate agent, I suppose, is, hey man, help me find a place. That's what I'm asking for. That's the service I want. Yes, help me with the paperwork too. That's important. I don't care if it smells like cookies or not. You're not the selling agent. If you're the selling agent, then there's a separate issue that gets a little confusing and weird, which does happen sometimes. You have agents that are both selling and buying the same property and representing both parties. I think they're allowed to do that. I can't remember. I remember hearing somebody talking about that one time. That you can't be the buyer and seller agent at the same time. I don't know, but I don't know. I just think it's a weird industry because then you go into because then 9 times out of 10 you're not dealing with the bank directly either. You usually have a mortgage broker and they're shopping banks for you.
Well, how can they be the buyer and the seller when the agency is not buying the house?
They're not the buyer and the seller. They're the agent,
the owner to seller.
I'm just saying they're not the buyer or the seller of the home. They're the agent for the buyer and the seller.
I don't see why that would be as much of an issue.
I've heard some states will do it where you can, but the agent can't get both full commissions. They can only get half commission or a third commission, like one full commission, one half commission. That
completely makes sense. Yeah, they shouldn't be able to double dip commission.
I don't know. Why not? You're doing both jobs.
If I was looking to sell my house, I would hope the agent would be doing both sides of that. They're helping sell my house, but they're also helping other people find houses. They're finding, those buyers to bring them.
I mean, I agree
to that house.
I would say, but you're doing both jobs as defined by the job.
I mean, as a seller, are you just listing?
I mean, I don't know. I guess
how do you contact the seller agents, the other seller agencies? Like, hey, I got somebody that's looking to sell. Do you have someone that's looking to buy a house?
Oh, I'm sure that they have. I mean, that's the MLS database. I mean, that's what that MLS database is I'd say most of those databases are filled by selling agents. You list it on the database. Buying agents are digging through the database on the... I mean, how Zillow just reprints the database, essentially.
Right.
So, I don't know. It's a weird. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. It's a weird, overly complicated thing. Because what I was getting ready to say is, you don't go to the bank and ask for the money. You go to a mortgage broker, and then they go to a bank or a series of banks and
try to find you the best rate.
Well, they try to find the best rate to then give you a rate that's a little bit different, but just a tiny bit more, and that's how they make their cut. They get you 3%. They find a place that sells it for $285 or $295. They put it at the place that's $285, and then that place sells it almost the second the ink dries to another company. That's another. I mean, oh God. Maybe that's why nobody buys houses. I mean, that's why. It's just so it's weird because, when we bought this house, I was on my third mortgage company before the first year we finished that we lived here.
Yeah,
and I didn't refinance once. It was the original mortgage underwriter sold it to another company instantly, like as soon as the ink dried. I didn't even make a payment, and I was on a second mortgage company. Which is, I mean,
there's weird, crazy money to be made in buying debt, essentially.
Yeah, well, because I mean, essentially, what you do is what you're doing is you're selling the entirety of the loan. So let's say it's a $200,000 loan, right? But over the term of 30 years, you're going to pay $350,000.
Right.
So I'll sell you that loan. That's going to get you $350,000. I'll sell it to you for $275 today. Well, I sold it for $200, so I just made $75K, and then you'll make $75K over the next couple of years. And then, does that a couple times, and whatever, rates change. Especially when rates are dropping, they're doing that over and over behind the scenes because they're getting cheaper mortgage rate.
Right.
And so it's a mess. Fed's talking about maybe a whole percentage point. Heard about that?
Raising interest rates.
That is going to fuck some shit up. A whole percentage point. I think they should jump like 5, but I'm a burn it all chaos kind of guy, so,
Go big or go home.
Well, I mean, it's okay. So the problem with it is that the Fed is a very blunt instrument. The Fed itself is gross. Regardless, it's gross. But I won't even go down my libertarian angst rabbit hole on Fed problems. I'll go on a more centrist standard problem with why the Fed sucks. Okay, so the Fed is a very blunt tool to do any work. So one of the general rules the Fed does is when you have a high inflationary period, which we've been in for like 6-9 months now, almost a year, you raise rates because that discourages spending. It gets people to start trying to save money, especially in the capital markets when you get into high-end whatever. This is where Target's all fucked up by having too much inventory. When the Fed rate goes up, stores drop inventory. They stop carrying as much stuff. They don't want to have as much stuff on hand because the more stuff they have on hand, that's the more money that's tucked aside in inventory instead of in cash that they can do stuff with. And so when the Fed raises rates, companies lower inventory, that slows inflation as a result. Then the other side, too, is that right now, the other tool that the Fed has to really do anything is they buy bonds. And so pandemic stuff, they were buying bonds left and right, upside down and backwards. And now they're trying to offload those bonds, which is like twice as damaging to the economy as a 0.5 point percentage rate hike. Because that bond, you throw more bonds in the market, it lowers the value of the bonds. People that have savings in those bonds, their savings drops. So their savings dropping while you're raising interest rate to try to get people to save more. Those people are trying to sell out of those bonds because they don't want to lose all their cash in it. It's a shit show. It's a problem. And if the inflation, as they raise inflation, or not, as they raise interest to combat inflation, it takes like a year for that to show up. And so we're screwed for a while. Like, this isn't going to stop for a while.
Yeah, I think I heard about raising rates on short-term bonds.
Oh, I don't know about. I mean, I'm just talking there, like just Fed rates.
It's like, I guess, Treasury bills, basically.
Yeah. So it's a mess. It's a mess, and it's the Fed can't fix it. And what the Fed can do to try to fix it is very inarticulate, for lack of a better word, and it takes a long time to see results. And, when you have Biden out there bragging about how more hiring, higher starting pay since he's taken office and all that stuff, where the rate of pay, the rate of pay increase over the same period of time is like half of what inflation's been. So theoretically, you have a net loss in income for households. I mean, this is going to get bad. I'm really worried about it, to be honest. Like, I mean, not in the I enjoy the burn and chaos sort of way. Like, I'm actually concerned about how this is going to play out. It's certainly going to be a Republican victory in November, because a lot of people, regardless of understanding of it, are aware of it and are freaking out. And so something's got to change. I can't keep going down the same path and think it's going to fix it. I don't think the Republicans can fix it either, to be honest. But it's getting scary. I'm concerned.
He said inflation hadn't been this bad since 94.
81.
Let's see. There's something about 1994. Maybe it was something to do with inflation rate or something. I think it might have been inflation rate or something.
It's only the second bear market in the new millennium. Third bear market, maybe. Which again, I don't know. Like, stock stuff's weird. Like, I mean, it's your phrase. It's just
Rich man's
gambling. But it's not, though. That's the thing, is that it's the rich man gambling with your retirement. And that's the
depending on where your money is, yeah.
Right. But like any and most 401ks, I mean, hell, Berkshire Hathaway's down, and that's rare.
Right. He's all about penny stocks.
Right. And that's super rare that that it's down. I was looking at I don't have a share because they're like $100,000 shares.
So Bitcoin was dropping. Bitcoin was dropping because some other major
crypto is all sorts of fucked. Ethereum.
Was it Ethereum that just stopped selling it? Or they stopped people being able to.
Yeah, no, that was Spurring. I don't know.
They stopped people being able to sell their.
Yeah, I mean,
their currency.
I mean, when you get down to it, technically, functionally speaking, it's 100% unregulated banking. That's what the crypto markets have become. It's not what they started as. And Bitcoin's still kind of semi-immune from it, as I understand it. Not immune; their value is dropping, but they don't have the same issues as some of these newer ones have, and the NFTs and some of the other crazy shit that's going on in this weird new crypto market world thing. But it's unprotected banking. Theoretically, it's the same as pre-Black Monday. So what are those? Black Monday, Black Friday,
Black Friday.
Monday. No, Black Friday is Thanksgiving. It was Black Monday for the stock market crash.
29.
Yeah, it's not Black Friday. It's shopping shit, bruh. Anyway, whatever it was, Black Monday was the Knoxville one. That was the weird Knoxville crazy commission meeting or something like that. Black Tuesday? It was a Black Weekday, whatever it was. Look it up. And Google, ladies and gentlemen, the power of the internet.
Tell me what day it fell. Started in September. Black Thursday.
Black Thursday. We would have got there eventually if we would have kept guessing. We would have been right.
Yeah, I mean, there's only 7 choices.
There's really only 5. They don't run on the weekends.
Some banks were open on Saturday.
Anyway, so the point being is that it's just it's old school unregulated banking. That's all that crypto has become. But I'm gonna hold on to my Bitcoin for a little while. We'll see what happens. I don't have enough that it's a big deal if I lose it. So I'm not gonna try that hard. How's your house search going? Have you got any? Have you even?
A little bit.
A little bit of effort. How much effort have you been putting in?
Just looking at different places. Most of which are that place to look at. Like, oh, they want $1,300. I'm like, no.
I found a couple of houses, man. You can buy a house.
Oh, I haven't looked for any houses.
I mean, here's the thing. Here's my question. Even in the craziness that is the market right now, if you think you can afford a $1,100 rent, because that's what you're going to have to, is essentially that's the feeling I'm getting off of you as you're telling me about it. If you think you can figure out how to, if that's the route you're going on, then buy someplace. You can buy a $200,000 house for $1,100 a month. I don't know your credit situation. You'd have to talk to a broker, get more details, run your credit, that kind of shit. But especially if you have some cash, if you stored up some cash, you could get under 1,000. Like you could get, I don't know. We'll see as the rates start going up. You could get okay. I mean, it's not going to be like anything super nice, but you could get an okay place in Knox County for the same price, same with what you're paying. At least you have equity on the other side. And then you don't have some stupid bullshit where the landlord sells the place on you and you get soft evicted. Why not?
Why not?
Yeah, buy a house. If you can. I'll help. I'll do what I can. I don't know what I can do, but I'll try. I'll co-sign. My credit's probably going to be in the dump after I get this other thing. If and when I get this other thing through. A couple months after we get it through.
I'm not going to help you build your credit back up.
Well, a couple months. I'd say a couple months after we get this new thing settled down, my credit will jump right back up.
Right.
I mean, mine's weird. Like this is the dumbassery of the credit system is. So Capital One obligates an individual to be associated with a credit card for a business. So we have a business card. It's only for business uses. The business pays for it. But depending on when somebody pulls my credit and how much Anthony has ordered, my credit fluctuates massively by how much is on our business card. It's like a $15,000, $25,000 limit. It's a huge card. And we wear it out. Like, we'll run it way up and then pay it way down and run it way up and pay it way down. That's how we do it. Both shops use the same card.
Right.
But it's associated with me. It's in my name, even though it's in the business's name. And so, like, I'll pull credit. Like, I had the broker pull my credit score. I wasn't paying attention. Well, I didn't ask. She said, we'll wait and pull credit until we're a little bit more details, whatever. It's like, okay, cool. Well, she went ahead, or somebody in the office went ahead and did it anyway. And it happened to be when we had like $14,000 of the $15,000 credit limit out on that card. And so the credit bureaus think I'm using just 75% of my total credit available. But then a day and a half later, I have zero on that card. And it's like, well, I have a huge amount of credit available, but you just ran it at the wrong time. And it's like, that doesn't, I guess the moral of the story is, how does that reflect me at all? Like, it doesn't honestly reflect the situation. Like, if you took 10 seconds to look at the situation, you'd be like, oh, okay, I see what's going on here.
I'll say that should pull up on the credit report. They're like, oh, this was taken out here. Oh, and this was paid off the week before. Oh, and then there was a big charge a week before that, but that was paid off the week after that.
Right, constantly.
I mean, but last time I pulled my credit, that's when, like, everything that showed up was, my different loans.
See, mine doesn't do that. Like, it doesn't, like, that one just doesn't work that way. I don't know what the deal is with that. I don't like it. Like, I feel like I agree.
There's only four major credit.
TransUnion and whatever. Yeah, and it's only the one. I get the free one, the free peak one from my credit card company. But I don't know. It's just dumb. Like, it's like I don't know. I have, at the same time, that's the way the system's set up, I can lie pretty easily, too. Because I can claim.
Because I always thought that's what helped build your credit up, was using your card and paying it off, using the card, paying it off.
Never have a late payment. I mean, that's what's weird about it. Like, we will cycle that card 4 or 5 times in a month.
Right.
Max zero, max zero, max zero. Constantly. And I would think that would be great.
Right.
I would think they'd be like, holy shit, that's awesome. And they may actually think that, I guess, but if it happens to pull when the card is in max and not at zero, it looks bad. And so, it's constantly moving around. It's just dumb. It's still like 100 points down from when it was 10 years ago for me. There's bankruptcy that really kind of fucks things up.
A little bit.
I got a couple of years left before that clears the history. Which, I get it. It's fine. Poor life choices, got to pay for them. Let's see, what else did I see recently that was exciting?
Internet Explorer's retired. Sweet.
Oh, I thought it was already gone. It's replaced with Edge. The BZA thing got whatever that was, I don't know. So we talked about it on here as a whole. Mayor Jacobs and Commissioner Smith had introduced a resolution to remove the BZA from zoning processes.
What is BZA?
I don't know. The Board of Zoning Appeals. It's a 3-member volunteer board. So it only exists for one super subset particular part of zoning. So when you're driving around town, you see these little black signs with white lettering. It says use on review.
Says what?
Use on or use in review.
I don't know if I've seen those.
Okay, so generally speaking, there's what's called by right, I believe is what the phrasing is use by right. So this is a residential zoning, single-family zoning neighborhood or whatever. I can build a single-family home within the county's, guidelines for, easements and distance from roads and neighbors and all that kind of shit. Like within all the zoning guidelines, I can build that on without any questions. I have to do permits and all that kind of crap for the building. But as far as the design of my home and all that stuff, it is by right. I own the land. I can build the house on it as long as it's within the guidelines set forth. Except there's a whole bunch of property that has use on review, which means it's by right, but you have to run it by us first. And so I don't know exactly, like, some of that's not the case when it's like a neighborhood that they're putting in a subdivision where they're taking a piece of farmland and changing it from agricultural to residential.
Right.
That doesn't apply in this conversation. That's when they're taking, I don't really exactly understand what the specifics are, but there's basically a list of uses that you can do. It's legal. It's within the code and all the guidelines and stuff, but you have to ask us first. It's essentially what the county's saying. And so when a use on review goes and somebody disagrees with the planning commission, I think it's the planning commission that oversees it, disagrees with the planning commission's assessment of the use on review. That's why they have the signs out, because they're obligated to make it a public notice so the public can come speak on whether or not they're okay with the in or out of this review. So anyway, the commission, whether it's planning, I think it's planning commission, maybe zoning commission. Anyway, they make a decision on whether you can do this thing on your property. It's within code, and we approve the review, right? Well, if your neighbor doesn't like that, or somebody else doesn't like that and doesn't think that's appropriate, it's supposed to go to the Board of Zoning Appeals, the BZA. And it goes through a process or whatever, and then another decision's made. And then if that decision's disagreeable to the parties, they can then go to Chancery Court and try it again. And then by then, it's Chancery's decision, it's over. So what Smith and Jacobs, I'm pretty sure it was Commissioner Smith, I'm sorry, are proposing was just taking out this little BZA in the middle. It's a very narrow window when it's supposed to be used. For the most part, apparently over the last couple of years, it's been used incorrectly to delay projects functionally for no reason, because it's not supposed to apply to some of the different projects that people have been using it. But since it was unclear and people didn't exactly know how it was supposed to be used, people were using it anyway, and it was delaying projects, costing developers money, blah, blah, blah. So developers hated it, this kind of thing. And so essentially, the argument from the public, kind of the two camps here in town, is that it's been the mayor doesn't want public input on it because the public's going to do whatever, the public's not going to be okay with whatever he's doing. The mayor's thing is like, hey, this isn't supposed to be how this is working anyway. Let's take this thing out. It's slowing down the process. We need more houses. We need more developments. We need these things. We have a housing issue. This is slowing it down. People are using this intentionally to slow it down, to keep things that they don't want out. And so it went back and forth. And so they settled on basically clarifying and making sure everybody who tries to use it knows the rules on how to use it. So it's going to bring it back down to the narrow window that it's supposed to be, and not let people improperly file an appeal. It's going to more quickly like dismiss appeals that don't apply to the rule. Because essentially, like, I think what they say, like 6 of the last 9 were over design planning, which is not part of the review process. It's over whether they can do this thing. Right. So like the use and review is approved, but the complaint is the design of the use. And it's like, well, you can't, that's not in discussion from the use and review. So you can't take it to BZA for that, but people were doing it anyway. And so essentially they basically said, nope, we're going to do it correctly from now on. So we'll see how long that lasts. So apparently, rolling blackouts, Knox County.
Brownout.
Well, if it's out, it's blackout. Brownouts is when it just kind of goes out for a second and comes back on. Technically.
I thought brownouts was when it was sporadic. Blackout was everything was that. But
no, we had brown. Like what was going on during the recording, that was brownout.
No, it's not brownout.
That was a little flashy. Whatever.
Did we lose power?
We got really close to it.
Did your computer shut off?
No.
But it had power.
God, you're so right.
Did your power get cut off?
some flickers. My dad texts, and I heard yesterday that parts of Powell and North Knox are out. I did see a funny meme. We'll close on this. Maybe we won't. You know me. A little funny meme that was localized. It was something along the lines of like TVA is asking people to try to reduce their power usage because the heat's so high and the high demand for power, keep ACs running and stuff like that. TVA is asking people to reduce their power usage, and y'all want us to go out and all have electric cars. It's kind of making fun of the whole, like, well, if gas is too expensive, buy an electric car. I might not be able to charge that the way things are going right now, is the joke. I thought it was interesting. I wonder if your parents are out.
Doubt it.
They're pretty close. I wonder what it was. Because I would.
It was just high demand.
I would think that.
I mean, we're past dinner time, but I mean, it could have been a bunch of people cranking up their stoves.
Yeah, I mean, it's a stretch when everybody gets home from work to sundown. That's usually the highest demand time.
Yeah.
When it's hot like this, because like we had all the lights off in the house, not because we're trying to be energy efficient, just because lights generate a little bit of heat, and so anything we could do to trim a couple degrees out of this house. But yeah, so yeah, for the sake of ridiculous clothes, is when Sam got here, I was in the pool with the youngest, and it's an above ground pool. It's not like classy or anything. We don't have a bunch, but that pool is almost too hot to be comfortable. That's how hot it is outside right now. Like the pool is like 90 something, right at 90 degrees. Is that what they said when they pulled the thermometer?
Yeah, I think that's what he was saying.
Yeah, it's hot, people. It's real hot. So I had Kaplan scheduled for tomorrow. He thought it was today and started emailing me at times like, "Where are we at? We're doing this tomorrow, man." And now he can't do tomorrow, so we've rescheduled to Thursday. So I'll have Kaplan later this week. Constance Monday.
What's Kaplan running for?
He's the Dem for 18.
Gotcha.
I got my first mailer today.
Nice. For
this election cycle. I got Janet Testerman, who was here last week, so it's like, meh. But that's going to be a pretty contested primary. I'm curious. I haven't talked to Matt how the Dems are feeling about 18, but it's going to be an interesting one. I am not excited about my options. We'll see what Mr. Kaplan says when he's on the show. But
sell me on it.
I am not excited about my options as of right now. So we'll see. I got one more interview next week too.
Is anybody running unopposed?
I have them here somewhere. I printed them off last week. I got them on the computer.
That's where I'd be mad about my decision.
Well, I mean, you're in 18 right now, so it's not. District 7 has got a primary and a state senate. Sorry. Burchett and Harmon in the House of Reps. District 7's got Biggs, Morrell, Langen. 14's got Zachary and Collins. I believe Zachary was the one that was unopposed last time. Pete Drew is running against Sam McKenzie in 15. Elaine Davis. Oh, no, there you go. Michelle Carringer, 16, is running unopposed. 16, I believe, is up in Max's neck of the woods. 18, Kaplan, Davis, Testerman. 19, Wright, Streetman, Rochat. Where's 19? 379. I'll have to check that out. 89, Lafferty, Dotson. 90, Gloria and Pazzi. Don't care about executive committee bullshit. And then Township of Farragut races are all contested. It's going to get hot in Farragut, people. I think there's like 12 people running for governor total.
Damn.
1 Republican, like 7 independents, and there's like 5 or 6 Democrats primary. And we'll get down to.
I saw a couple stories about a bunch of legal filings with, I guess it was like the state GOP somehow like disqualified like 2 or 3 candidates. And I think 1 or 2 of them had been able to get back on the ballot. But it was something like the state party had pretty much kind of brush them to the side.
I mean, they have the right to do that.
Right.
So as I understand it, like it's their obligation to instigate said thing. But let's say I run for District 18 next time, and I run as a Republican, and because I mean, the way I understand it is you literally walk into the election commission and say, I want to run for this seat. They hand you some paperwork, you fill it out, they check to make sure you live in the district you're running for.
Right, but I think some of them had to do with like eligibility requirement, where they were already candidates, and all of a sudden like, wait, no, you're not eligible.
By their standard. They have the right to do that. That's what I'm saying. Like if I go into the election commission office, they say, do you live in district? I say yes. What's your name? What's your address? What's your party affiliation? They put that on the thing, and they print this. They print the form.
Let's see if I can find it. The causes of it.
After deadline, I can't remember because I asked Chris Davis about it. Chris Davis gets to mention everybody.
Hope you're still running.
After the deadline for petition turn in, I get my petition. I get my 25 signatures or whatever. After the deadline for petition turn in, there's a window that the parties are allowed to come in and verify my bona fides. And so Herrera would walk in and be like, nope, that guy ain't no Republican, and I lose that. I can keep my petition live and run as an independent, but I can't keep the Republican moniker on my name.
There's one guy, last name Starbuck. See here. Davidson County judge ruled the state GOP violated Tennessee's Open Meetings Act when it met to boot Starbuck and 2 others off the August 4th primary ballot. But the High Court actually went up to the state Supreme Court, found the Tennessee Republican Party, when acting as an executive committee, is distinctly different when it acts as a state primary board, which is subject to the Open Meetings Act. So maybe all it had to do with like sunshine laws.
That's dumb. Since they're all right,
I'm not sure. Yeah.
We'll have to.
There's more to it. Yeah,
we'll have to dig a little further into that one.
And only seeing it from the periphery.
Right.
Periphery.
I mean, I can ask Randy about it and see what he knows. He's trying. He's running. He's running for state executive man, District 6.
Sure, he knows some people there.
Yep, he's running against Hornbeck, Sam Maynard, and Mike Siegel. That's weird. I just don't get that. I get to vote for them. Well, there's no reason I should get to vote for those people, but I can, and I'm gonna.
For executive committees and things.
Yeah, because I'm gonna pull a Republican primary because there is no. Let's see here. Of all of the primaries on this upcoming August ballot, there are 0 that have a Democratic primary. Okay, so August ballot, county general, get to vote in all those county races that I'm eligible for. Doesn't matter what I pull. But I pull the Republican primary. I'm going to get to vote for District 18. That's it. I only get one race. But if I don't pull the Republican primary, I don't get to pick anything. Like if there is no Democratic primary on the August 4th election, if I'm reading this correctly. Yeah. All right. That's the show, everybody.
Yippee.
Cool beans. Outro?
No, thank you.
Love how polite Sam Snows are. Just straight. No thank you. Well, we're almost in agreement. AlmostAgreement@gmail.com. Sam's 40, everybody. Congratulations, Sam! Anyway, last week was the birthday show. We're not going down that rabbit hole again. Almost in agreement@gmail.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Go to the website, almostinagreement.com. You can check out my voter guide for 22. It's got all the races listed. If I've had interviews with them, it's got links to those interviews there, as well as links to KGIS and Knox County Election Commission, where you can find your registration status, as well as your polling location and what district you're in, so you can figure out who you're actually allowed to vote for. Again, I'm not advocating that you pick up a Republican primary for where you are. I'm just saying that that's what I'm going to do because I can. More interviews coming up. More Compass shows coming up. We're going to keep doing what we do. We appreciate y'all listening. Have a great evening. The Tuesday scheduling is not really working out for the plan, so we'll see. Hopefully next week we have a couple more bodies in the room so we can have some chatty chat. So anyway, almost a good evening, everybody. Thanks for listening.